Hey guys, it is your favorite premarital counselor and wedding officiant, Candy J. Hey, good morning. How y'all doing? If you are new here, then there's a plethora of things that Candyology does. We are sex educators, wedding officiants, premarital counseling, marriage counseling. There's so many things that we do here, but today our focus is to talk about the experience of being a wedding officiant and premarital counseling and what Candyology can bring to you. So I know you see him on the screen. I know you do. I know you do. This is one of my favorite dudes in the whole wide world, Mr. Myles Tate III. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
My pleasure.
Hey, so I'm gonna dive right in. First of
Okay.
all, what made you want to become a wedding officiant?
So my vocation, if you will, I'm a music educator and I'm also a professional musician. So I've played millions of weddings. In fact, do we have time? Because I have a lot of stories. Okay. So my first wedding that I played, I was fresh out of high school, and I got called to play the wedding of um, a lady who was a cousin of a very close friend of mine who's now deceased. And she said, Miles, can you play the wedding? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, sure, sure. We'll get all the details. And so I didn't have a standard keyboard at that time. I had a Fender Rhodes. So Fender Rhodes is the thing that Stevie Wonder plays, like in the 70s, right? So it's heavy. It's made of real wood. It's wood and metal. That's all it is. And I used to carry that around, but of course I was 19, younger and stronger. So uh, my father helps me, and I had this '84 Buick LeSabre that could fit like everything in it. So we get there, we set up, and the wedding's supposed to start at 3, and no groom, and 3:30, no groom, 3:45, 4. 4:15, 4:30. They're looking for him. They can't find him. They've called the barbershop. They've called everybody. Not there. At 5 o'clock, my man shows up, and let's just say he was filled with liquid courage. So, so that made for a very interesting wedding. And I should have seen this as a foreshadowing of what I was going to see as a musician. So I've seen everything. I've played black weddings, white weddings, you name it. I've played so many different weddings, and I've always after I got married, there would be moments when they're taking the vows, and it would remind me of my wedding day. And so it was just like this really awesome thing. And I was like, I'm serving here as a musician, but I've also, and I don't broadcast this, but I've licensed and ordained to preach. So why not, further share in these particular memories. So it's been quite a roller coaster with these weddings, seeing it from the musician's perspective and then transferring over into the officiant's perspective.
That's really awesome. I'm gonna go back to you being an ordained minister in just a moment, but I want to know, first of all, tell people, how long have you been married?
12 years, over a decade. We're 12 years and one child in. And
Mm.
one hit wonder. He's the last of the Mohicans. That's it. That's all I got. I'm 43. He has a ton of energy. Like literally, we didn't even get him sleep trained until we had COVID, and he couldn't sleep with us. So like the first 2.5 years of his life, he would wake up in the middle of the night every night.
Mm.
And me being the wonderful husband that I am, I'm the one that would go get him and put him back to sleep because I mean he kept my wife up while she carried him. So it's kind of
Right.
like your turn.
Right. And we don't even have time for that type of conversation today.
I
That
I
is
just
something that I talk about in premarital counseling, things
oh
that
yeah.
you don't think about um before you get married. Sometimes that's why it's so important to have premarital counseling, because there are about
Mm-hmm.
276 questions that I go through when I talk to my couples, and there are so many scenarios that people don't think about, and I make you think about them. And you can't plan for
Mm-hmm.
everything. You cannot plan for everything. However, if I give you some of the tools now before you get married, if you reach back in that box
Right.
when you finally come into a situation, you'll know how to handle it. And that's what I try to prepare for, those conversations and that communication.
Mm-hmm.
Myles, take me back. Take me back to your wedding day and your wedding officiant. First of all, what happened? Let's see, because I think you have a little juicy story for me. I believe you do.
So, so my wedding day was unique, and so okay. I'm a jazz musician. So being a jazz musician, being an artist, I think differently. And my wife is quite a creative individual as well. And so we kind of did not see ourselves in the church with, white tuxedo and, someone singing the Lord's Prayer and marching down the aisle. And no disrespect to anyone that's done that. We just didn't see ourselves as a traditionalists, we were more spontaneous, and we were younger. How old was I when I got married? Uh, yeah, I was
31?
31.
Mhm.
I was 31. 30, 30 going into 31, because there's a story behind that as well. So, um, so yeah, we see, we saw ourselves as just more creative, And I had played a wedding for a friend of mine, and actually decided to steal the concept. So what we did was we built this as an engagement party, and we urged people, you really, really, really have to be here. I know it's just an engagement party, but you really, really, really have to be here, because there's, something that you're gonna like. And that's all we could say. Um, the reason is because it became a surprise wedding. And so what we did was, we had, first of all, I handpicked the band. I pulled the baddest musicians that I had been working with in Chicago. And so tailor-made band. We had a chef prepare hors d'oeuvres, because there wasn't a meal. It was just, finger foods. So his staff was walking around serving. And Camille was wearing a cocktail dress, and I just had on a black three-piece, white shirt, black tie. You kind of looked like a usher, but but in a much, no white gloves, no badge. And so music's going on, everything's cool. And so what we did was, the wife of the officiant got up to do like a monologue on love. Now, everybody thought this was just like, oh, she's doing a monologue on love. This is nice. This is an engagement party. It was a distraction, because Camille went downstairs to change into her dress. And so I'm standing up there, and I'm just looking like, oh, hey, blah 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 blah. And so then what winds up happening is the officiant gets up, and he's eccentric. He has this very, very outgoing personality. And so he says, do you all know why you all are here? And everybody's like, yeah, it's an engagement party. Y'all know why y'all here? Say, no, you have been duped. This is not an engagement party. They are getting married right here, right now. So that happens. Now let me tell you the backdrop of this day. There's currently a typhoon going on in Chicago while all this is going on. There is the biggest rainstorm, and I saw it coming. I had three men standing up with me. One was a good friend of mine from Michigan. I lived in Michigan for a couple of years, and I saw the storm coming. I literally looked and said, "That's not good," because I could see this big, big, big rain cloud. And next thing you know, everything is dropping down on it. So people are still showing up, but there's a typhoon going on outside. And the guy that was supposed to say you and I'm like, he's not here yet. So I'm texting him, hey man, what's going on? Like we started already. He was like, man, my basement flooded. He's like, so I'm trying to deal with that. He's like, I'm hurrying, and he wound up making it. He was able to be there in enough time to sing because he sang "You and I" while Camille was coming down the proverbial aisle. And so we get up there, we get married, and then we have our first dance, and we have our comments, and then party breaks out, live band. So we had a lady there from our photographer. It wasn't a standard photographer. It was called jump shots. Like literally you jump in the air, she snaps the picture, and her editing abilities, like I have to show them to you, but her editing abilities, you don't see like the blurs from people jumping, you know. And so when the music kicked back up, she started dancing. And I knew we had a bona fide party when I looked over and saw the bartender was getting down. It was a big old party. So we dance, we have fun, this, that, and the other. And then, so now we're leaving because we're staying at the Drake Hotel downtown, and then we're flying out to Jamaica the next morning. And as I'm leaving, the band is playing As by Stevie Wonder. And my cousin Junius is taking this wicked bass solo. I don't even know when the party ended. I just know we got in the limo and peaced out. It was great. It was a great wedding.
Oh my God, that is the best wedding story ever. So, guys, if you are just joining us, we are talking about Myles' special day and the reason why he became a wedding officiant. I'm sure he's over there tending to his son.
Yeah, I was doing that. Like, go away, go away. He's playing video games. I'm surprised we haven't heard him.
You already know, my son is autistic, and Colin G will be right there and giving me kisses, and I'm like, mommy is on the hello. Do you see her? She's talking, right? Okay.
Trying to work.
But okay, so here's the thing. When you are considering a wedding officiant, there are some things that you need to think about, right? Who they are, right? Their personality. Are they willing to do what you're asking them to do? If it's a theme wedding, am I going to dress up in Star Wars? Am I going to dress up like Bridgerton? Am I going am I willing to dress in a Disney character to be your, and we do things like that. It's a lot of fun actually. Um, or do you want them to be stoic? And do you want them to quote scripture and what God put together, no man can. I mean, what do you want? On your special day, there are so many things, and I think probably so far the craziest thing that I've been asked to do is dress up as a Disney character, and it was really fun actually.
Okay, which one? Which one? I have to know which one.
Tinkerbell.
Okay. Tinkerbell.
We don't have time to get into that story, okay?
So yeah, when we're off camera, I want to hear that one. I want to hear that one.
So a couple of things. There are 3 wedding officiants at Candyology. There's Myles, who mostly deals with the Christian weddings, right? I deal with all of them, LGBTQIA, Christian, non-Christian, whatever you're wanting, I'm gonna give it to you. The only thing that I will not do, I can tell you now, guys, the only thing that I won't do is like gothic and death, devil worshiping type wedding. That's not my cup of tea. But I do have some referrals if that's something that you want. Alicia is not opposed to doing any type of weddings at all. And she actually has kind of the same lines of me. We're not doing anything that has to do with devil worshiping, gothic, all of that kinds of things. That's just our preference, right? So the difference between a Christian wedding and a non-Christian wedding, I was joking a minute ago, but Myles, how many times have you heard, what God has put together, no man?
I've if I had $1 for every time I've heard it, I probably would give Bill Gates a run for his money.
Mm-hmm.
because I've heard it so many times. Now,
Mm-hmm.
here's the funny thing on the other end, as a musician, having played a lot of different themed weddings, not being the officiant, but just being a musician, I've also not heard it. So, it's given me an appreciation for the non-Christian weddings. Like some people just don't believe in God. Okay, it is what it is. And my thing is, I always have this thing. If you read in the Bible, Jesus never forced himself on people. So why then are his followers beating people over the head with the Jesus bat? Why not just be a cool human being and they say, hey man, something about you. Like, oh well, I believe in Jesus. I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to know about him, I'll tell you about him. That's how you win souls. And if the person's not interested, okay.
Absolutely. I've done a lot of spiritual weddings where that they don't necessarily want scripture and God mentioned and all of that, but they want you to pray.
Mm-hmm.
Um and they want you to bless their wedding,
Mm-hmm.
and crystals and all kinds of things. And so I'm here for it, whatever your personality is what I'm going to tailor your wedding. I've heard so many stories, people wanting me to add in their story while I'm telling, because they don't necessarily want to tell the story, they want me to
Mm-hmm.
do it. And so it becomes this beautiful thing. I think that's probably why I get booked a lot for weddings, because when you tell me your story, I embody it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna give it to you and make it captivating, and people like, oh, then what happened next? Even people that already know the story.
They're like,
Right.
really? So clearly, I'm the comedian. I'm the comedian officiant. I will crack jokes at your wedding all day if you want me to. That's what I do. I love it. I love making people laugh.
Mhm. And that's what being a wedding officiant about. It's whatever the bride and groom wants. If you want a comedian, then we're gonna give you a comedian. If you want somebody that's stoic, then we're gonna give you somebody that's stoic. We're gonna tailor it to whatever your personality is. And I think that's the unique thing about Candyology. Three different types of personalities, and we're gonna give it to you all kinds of different ways. But
Did you
we're
see
gonna
my
make sure that you're satisfied.
Did you see my Did you see my stoic look?
Even your
Treat her
stoic is
good.
a comedian.
You
So
treat her
listen,
right.
as the wedding officiants, we are going to sign the license for you. We're going to show up at the rehearsal. That's there's a smaller extra fee for us being at the rehearsal. We're going to show up, an hour before your wedding and make any final tweaks that you're asking us to. We're going to pray with you if you want us to pray with you. Again, I'm a counselor, so we'll sit there and counsel you and get those wedding jitters to go away, right? Um, but we're gonna make sure that you're taken care of. And this morning, it was just really about me introducing Myles as a part of the team. He just came on, not what 2 months ago? Was it 2 months ago that
About,
he came on with us?
I think so.
This
Yeah.
is not his first rodeo, but we've been knowing each other for a very, very long time, and I'm so glad that he decided to join the Candyology team as a wedding officiant.
Yeah.
Um, so, before we go, though, let me ask you one thing about marriage, right? What would
Okay.
be your piece of advice for anybody that's getting ready to get married?
Ooh. Um.
I know there's so many things, right?
I can't narrow it down to one. Um. If I had to, I would say transparency. Um. You have no idea the damage you do when you lie to your spouse and get caught. And I'm guilty of it. That's why I can say it. I'm guilty of having told lies. Um, you know, trying to save face. Did you do X, Y, and Z? Oh yeah, I did it. And then you try to do it, and then something happens, and you break trust. and you pay dearly for it, depending upon um, the person whose trust you've broken. I mean, they could look past it, or they could, really, because there could be some past trauma. Like, and I'm not even being funny. Like, this person's father or mother could have perpetually lied to them, and they've been finding out these very, disturbing, traumatic, egregious things as life goes on because mom or dad lied to them. Or maybe you're marrying a person who's been married previously, and their spouse was always lying to them, and not lying about little stuff, lying about major stuff. There's so much. So if I were the transparency, trust and have enough faith in that person to tell them, hey, listen, I'm super flawed, and I got this issue, I got that issue, blah, 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 blah. No, I didn't do this. I forgot to pay this, or whatever the case is. Like, just, and if you can't have that type of faith and trust in them, don't marry them. Don't marry them if you can't have that type of faith, because you're talking about a life commitment. You're talking about, okay, like, when I die, either I'm going to go and meet you, or I'm going to leave you here mourning me, but we not finna split up. Like, that's the mentality of the commitment. So that's what I would say. Like, just total transparency. If
Absolutely. And guys, if you've ever been here before and you listened to my story, I was married for almost 16 and a half years. No, I'm sorry, we were married to 15 and a half. We were together almost 17 years. And that actually was one of the things in our marriage, the lying thing. My ex-husband used to lie all the time, to the point where when I first got out of our marriage, I really questioned people all the time, and it was a trigger for me. If you told one little white lie, I was like, what in the heck is really going? Is there something wrong with you? Like, mentally, for real.
mm,
And
mm,
it became a trigger. I don't, it's, this is 6 years later. And it's not as much of a trigger anymore, but I really see things a little bit differently when you bold face lie to me, because my ex-husband would lie um just about the small things, and then it became the major things. And so, I totally understand. That's just one example, but what I would leave people with is communication is everything. Absolutely everything. Having a foundation of friendship, um,
mhm.
and being able to pour into each other and never leave each other's cups empty. That emotional bank, that love bank, never leave them empty, and focus on their love languages. As you do something, it becomes a habit, and then it becomes a complete practice, right? And so I could go on a tangent about love languages and what they mean to people in marriage, and we'll probably do another live about it. But it's not hard to give someone what they need, um when you know what they need. Now, let's if they don't know what they need, that's a whole nother ball game, and you may need
Yeah.
to seek help with me, right? Um, but
Can I
that's a different.
interject? Can I
Mm-hmm.
interject right there? With love languages, this is a really important thing to understand about love languages, everyone. Um, you cannot expect, how do I say this? You can't love people the way you think they need to be loved. You can't. My wife's my wife's love language is acts of service. Mine is physical touch. So I can't expect I can't love her that way and expect her to be happy about it. I have to do acts of service. Um, and
And vice
when
versa.
you, yeah, like when you have such a terribly busy life as I do, that's really hard. I mean, I've literally have three careers. I have a music education career, I have a live jazz performing career, and then I have a ministry career. It's hard sometimes to, like, oh, let me clean the house up for her, or let me do this for her. It's hard. I mean, because I'm like old man now, so I'm tired all the time. But I can't expect my wife to to be okay with physical touch as the primary, like as my way of loving her and her. You know what I'm saying? I have to love her the way she likes to be loved, and vice versa. So that's really important to understand about those languages.
Absolutely. And like I said, we don't have time to really get dive deep into it. I do have a few YouTube videos about love languages if you've never embarked on them. I will drop the link to love the love languages test. If you Google it, it will come up. And I definitely, if you've never taken the test, take that test. You might be surprised about what your love languages is, and then ask that other person to take it, because
Hmm.
I promise you, I've been doing this long enough. I can usually pinpoint people once I meet them and know them. I can pinpoint what your love language is. But here's the thing, even knowing their love language, they also have to know what that looks like for them, right?
Hmm.
Because everybody is different. I'm a physical touch quality time girl, but that may look
Hmm.
different from someone else that's a physical touch quality time person. I'm a physical touch, it doesn't have to do with sex. I want our toes to be touching, I want our fingers to be touching, I want to be cuddled up on the couch, you know. I want
Dude,
kisses at the door.
you just got to make sure you don't have toe jam. Make sure the toes are washed before we do
Oh
touching
no,
of the
they're always
toes. Gentlemen, don't have them dirty toenails. Don't do that. It's not sexy.
I'm a touch my arm girl, hold my hand, give me random kisses while we're out and about. Like that's physical touch. That all leads up to knowing that you love me. That's how
Hmm.
I am. And so that might look differently to someone else that has that same love language. Quality time for me, we don't have to say anything. We can sit there and watch the television and say nothing, or we can sit there and say everything. Like it just goes from one spectrum to the other. We can
Yeah.
go sit at a karaoke bar. If y'all follow me, I just did a karaoke thing for my birthday, and that was the best. That was quality time for me. I'm watching everybody sing. Everybody's dancing. We're having fun. That was quality time for me. For the people that love me, that was their way of showing that they love me, because they know me. I just want your presence. I don't want presence, like physical presence. I want your presence there. So,
Hmm.
just be mindful and have those type of conversations with your significant other, so that you know what
Hmm.
it looks like for them. Acts of service for Camille. What things does she like for you to do? I mean, I know you mentioned clean the house, but is there something else, like anything having to do with your son or?
Yeah, well, because which I like, we have a schedule, if you will. Um, Case in point, like I take him to school Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and no, I'm sorry, she takes him to school Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I pick him up Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I take him Tuesday, Thursday. She picks him up. So there's things like that. I usually am the one getting him ready for bed at night. He's a daddy's boy, like through and through. He's a daddy's boy. So even if it's Thursday and I'm home, usually it's because Tuesday night I'm at choir rehearsal. So she's usually getting them ready for bed. So if I happen to be home on that Tuesday, he wants me to get him ready for bed. He I mean, I could be sitting there eating dinner and it's time for him to go to bed. And he's like, I want daddy to put me to bed. So now I have to stop eating and go put him to bed and then come warm my food back up. So things like that, really assisting in the caring of Jonathan, which I do, of course. And then things like so she hates folding clothes. She'll wash them, she'll dry them. She hates folding clothes. Me, I don't have a problem with it because I'm gonna turn a movie on, Netflix and fold. That's what I do.
On the next series of Candyology, Netflix and
Netflix.
Fold.
That's just, that's what I did that as a bachelor. That's the thing. So, you know, so now I'm about to really start showing age. You know, I would have VHS tapes or DVDs playing while I'm folding clothes. I'm watching a movie or watching a game or watching a concert, whatever. It just helps the time pass. So that's why that's not a problem. Um, she likes cooking, hates doing the dishes. All right, that's cool. I'll do the dishes. Um, we have she handles getting the pool cleaned. I handle the landscaping. So that's the thing. Like, I've been seeing this on social media a lot. Um, Men kind of saying, yeah, women ain't what they used to be, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, okay, but you got to remember when your grandmother was at home, taking care of the house full time, this, that, and the other. Papa was out working and bringing home all the money and paying all the bills. So if your wife or your significant other or whatever has to work, then you got to share in the responsibilities of the house. And I know that sucks, but it is what it is. And so even, I'll get behind on folding the laundry, but I'm the one that's got to fold it. And she might be like, so you gonna fold the laundry this year or what? Yeah. So, I mean, it's what it is. And so I don't want anyone to think that I'm the perfect husband and I'm on top of it. I'm not. I'm totally not, because I'm always exhausted because of how much working I do. But the fact of the matter is, you can't expect one person to take care of every single thing in the house if they're working, as well. So but it's just it's give and take.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for the nuggets that you are giving. And of course, as you can see, he brings some knowledge with being a wedding officiant. And I feel like part of our job as wedding officiants is to give you some nuggets throughout that process as well. We've been there, done that, and
Mhm.
get writing a book actually.
Oh,
Let's just
nice.
be clear. um so
Yeah.
anyways, guys, if you need wedding officiant services and premarital counseling services, or just want to look up everything about Candyology, you can go to candyologycs.com. You will see my picture, his picture, and Alicia's picture, and we'll have her on here shortly sometime this week to talk about her preferences as well, and her journey as well, because we have some stories for you guys. And that's what we're trying to bring. Make sure that you know who we are and what we represent, and make the choice of letting us be your wedding officiant, premarital counselor, counselor after the fact. Miles doesn't counsel, but Alicia and I do. So guys, I promise you, if you book Candyology as wedding officiants for your special day, we will make sure that it is a special day. Okay.
Hmm.
So, anyways, thank you for watching. Hit that like button, that subscribe button, and ring that bell so that you can get notifications for any times that we may be live and have the tips for you going forward, guys. Have a wonderful day and a blessed day, guys. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Bye.